This is the Patriots Super Bowl. Not only do we need every loss, this basically would almost eliminate the Giants from being able to leapfrog us in the draft.
Welcome back to the Old Bull Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm here with my dad, Steve. And not the best week in Boston sports. There was a couple losses. There was one loss we really wanted, a bunch of losses we didn't want. We're going to touch on a bunch of those teams today. So, Dad, what do we got for them on our 5 segments?
All right, so this is it. We're diving in finally. We're going to start doing some draft talk. Patriots are finally starting to do their job. They're losing games. The draft position is good. Matt and I are going to touch on a couple of college players that we're hoping that we get with the number 3 pick. We're actually going to have a debate between Drake Maye, the quarterback, and Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver. See which one of us wants one player and which one of us wants the other. And we're going to have a little debate about that. We're going to start doing these every week now. So be on the lookout for them. We're going to start doing some draft talk, which is ultimately going to get us a better and brighter future with the Patriots at some point. And number 2, we're going to touch on the Celtics. This in-season tournament thing is picking up steam. So we're going to touch on that. Also, the Porzingis injury and some of the bench pieces are starting to come to life. So we're going to hit them. Boston Bruins, brutal week. Finally, the fire is out, and winter is here, just like Game of Thrones. So, but just a little losing streak. They won tonight to snap that, and we're gonna, touch on them. Is there a cause for concern, or is it just that minor losing streak? Then we're gonna have our betting segment. See how our expert did. He did pretty good last week, and who he likes this week. We'll touch on that, and then we're gonna continue with our Frank the Tank Commander. So see what teams we need to root against and root for this week to get that Patriots position in better shape. And just a reminder to people, please share the podcast if you can. We've also like mainstreamed it. So if you don't follow the Celtics or the Bruins, or we put the times there, we tag you in that time. So you can just jump right to that segment and just listen to Bruins talk if that's what you want, or just listen to Celtics talk or this Patriots preview. So, as far as their draft goes. So please share the podcast. You share it and we get up to 20, I will draw a $50 gift card and your name is automatically in it just because you shared. So
Yeah.
get those views up and let's get some, excitement going for this and start us off, Matt.
Yeah, yeah. So, like my dad said, we are going to get into a weekly draft discussion. It's probably going to go for quite some time into the off season as rumors start to leak, as the GM start to slander this prospect and this prospect through this reporter and that reporter. You know how it goes with the draft, right? We're going to be talking about these guys a lot. Now, a lot of the quarterback prospects that we are looking at are not making the big college football playoff, which probably means they've played their last game. I doubt they're going to risk their professional careers in a inconsequential bowl game. So the player we're going to talk about today is Drake Maye. We do have a bit of a highlight reel for you. It's just 6 minutes. We're going to kind of talk about Dre over this highlight reel, maybe point out some of his throws. The problem with prospects in college is the good quarterbacks are at good schools, and often those good schools have good offensive lines, and there's a lot of fluff in college football. Even in Division 1, the FBS, it's there. So you're going to see a lot of, 4 or 5 second dropbacks. We're not super keen on those. We might make a comment about here and there, but yeah, let's watch this highlight reel together. Make your own conclusions, add some thoughts if you see anything in the comments. And yeah, any thoughts before we start this video, Dad, on Drake Maye?
Well, Matt and I completely agree on that one thing. It's hard to gauge any of these college throws in these highlights. They have 5 seconds to throw. When they do throw, the receiver is like 5 yards ahead of the guy. So we don't really count. We
Yeah,
don't put much stock into those as we shouldn't. We look for certain things. I look for, is the pocket tight when the throw's made? Because that's what it is in the NFL. Is the coverage tight when the catch is made, when the throw is made, because that's what it is in the NFL. Those are the throws we're looking for. Quick throws help too, and anything like that.
yeah,
So Matt and I are on the same page there. We don't take a lot of stock in these throws, but this is all we have to work with. And hey, it was the same thing when Patrick Mahomes was in college. He had the same, but
Yep.
Josh Allen too. He had giant pocket, plenty of time, receivers wide open. I mean, that's just the way it works. And then, you have other bums like,
Yep.
you know, Zach Wilson, who had the same thing. Huge
Yep.
pocket, guys
It's really
wide
hard,
open.
really hard to
He
judge.
Yeah, you have to decipher who the winners are and the losers are. And today we're gonna have a little debate because I am the
Yeah.
one who is all for
Yeah.
the
Quarterback.
quarterback
Yeah.
getting the quarterback, use that top pick. And my son Matt, he is super high on Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison Jr. like everybody else is. He is absolutely a surefire hit. And
Yep.
go ahead, Matt.
Yep.
You start your losing argument right now. Knock
No,
yourself out.
so I think my argument's going to be fortified as we kind of go through this. And this is kind of what Drake May sees a lot in college, and it's sort of disappointing, right? We would love to see, a battle-tested quarterback, and that's just not what we're offered when you play, especially for a UNC. Drake May only beat one ranked team this year, and it was ranked number 25 Miami. He lost to all of the ranked opponents he faced, and he lost to some unranked opponents too, Georgia Tech, right? And that's super disappointing, right? Because sadly, I don't think Mac Jones had this much time in three consecutive, dropbacks combined in some of these throws, right? And that's, of course, Mac Jones has shown to us it's a bit more than just the line or anything like. Because even when he's given time as of late, he still poops his pants. But it's really kind of concerning to me as I watch these throws. He does, have like this one right here. My dad and I watched this together before. Underthrowing a guy who's wide open with no one around you. He really was able to step into that. That was disappointing. This was one of his better throws, right? The safety's coming down the corner. He throws it in between. Um, Overall, watching the highlight reel, I don't see a second overall pick quarterback when I watch Drake May. When I go to bed on draft night, day one, I want to go to bed with a smile on my face. And I think the only way Patriots fans are truly going to be able to go to bed with a smile on their face on day draft day, is if Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be in a Patriots jersey. And we're going to go back and forth, Dad. What do you got to say about that? Any throws coming up? I mean, right here. I mean, that was an all right throw. What do you got, Dad, on this guy right here as we're watching him?
I mean, already you're proving that your argument actually sucks because you spent like 2 seconds on talking about your boy,
Yeah,
and the entire time trying to just
because
crap on my guy,
Drake May is the
because
spotlight right now. Drake May is the spotlight. That's what we're
man,
doing.
it's okay. You're insecure about your guy, so I get that. Don't worry about it. So yeah, listen, I'm going to give you the cons right now about this kid. Right? He's tries to be Patrick Mahomes with some crazy throws, crossbody throws, left-handed throws, and all that. And he's going to get in trouble in NFL if he pulls that crap. He's more of a Brett Favre as far as Brett Favre. Patrick Mahomes gets away with it, right? He
Yeah.
usually does those crazy throws. They usually work. He tries to be like Patrick Mahomes. He comes off to me more like Brett Favre. They're just too risky. They're too dumb, and that's not going to cut it in the NFL. I watched his highlight reel, and the first half of it, he's a good runner. I love that. He's fast.
Yeah.
He's got, good instincts running, and he knew how to slide. I'm like, that is great. I love that about him. Then all of a sudden, the second half of the highlights, you could tell they lost some games because he was probably pressing. Then he starts acting like Josh Allen, like he's going to try to run over people. He tried jumping over a linebacker, and I'm like, that again, that's like his throws. Stupid.
Yep.
Like the guy's going to he's not going to work in the NFL unless someone gets to him and says, stop doing those throws, stop being Josh Allen. Josh Allen just, to me, the fact that he never gets hurt is just luck. He
Astonishing.
literally
Yeah.
plays like a running back.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's got balls, don't get me wrong, and he is tough. I don't know how he doesn't get hurt. He literally just plays like a running back and just
Yeah.
takes on tacklers and tries to run people, tries to get an extra quarter yard when it's not
Yeah.
necessary. It's really weird. So he's a freak. This kid can't count on that. He's going to get injured. But I tell you what, the arm strength is there. He can run. Uh, you know,
Yeah. I mean, we see it right there.
he
Some
has
decent
all
speed.
those tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have all the tools. And
It's a good throw.
you just, yeah, you have, again, it's all about the quarterback in today's NFL. The
Yep.
problem, the problem with Matt's argument is he wants to take a wide receiver, right? Okay, great. You get your wide receiver. Then you get your quarterback next year. Okay. Now he's a rookie. All right. That's going to be a rough year. You're not winning anything. And then the second year comes. Second year, quarterbacks always struggle in their second year because the book's out on them and the defenses pick up on them. So it's really the third year where they usually generally take a good jump, like Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
That's the third year. But the problem with that is, guess what? Now Marvin Harrison Jr. is in his fourth year already.
Yep.
He's already 4 years in. He's
Yep.
only got one more year after
Two
that
more
on his
years.
rookie contract. And
2 more
then,
years on his rookie contract. It's 5 years.
well, he's got that year. No, right. The third year. And then
Yeah.
he's got 2 years where his quarterback's going to be good. Okay. So you better have built a winner during that short window. You better have a winning program during that 2 year run because then it gets choppy after that.
Yep.
Okay, because then your quarterback,
Yeah.
he's going to be looking for
Listen.
his second contract. Marvin Harrison Jones is probably going to be the highest paid receiver in the league. All your cap space is going to go to those two guys. So I don't like the way that all times out. I want the quarterback in here now. I want the cap space to go to rebuilding the offensive line and getting him a wide receiver weapon, a combination of the cap space and making trades on draft day. That's what I
Yeah.
want because they have both. They have both of those. So
Yeah.
I want to build that way. And Matt, go ahead. You
Yeah.
state your case
I
for taking
I
Calvin
think
Johnson 2.0 because that's what this kid is. He's
yeah.
going to be Calvin Johnson 2.0. Go
I
ahead.
think I think the Oval is just like so off base with this on so
Right.
many
I
levels
know. I
because
know.
like what you're saying is because you're not even talking about the kid. You did exactly what I just did. You all you said was how he's bad, right? How he's making bad decisions. He wants to be Patrick Mahomes, and I think I actually as you were saying it, it's almost as if Patrick Mahomes is doing to the NFL what Curry did to the NBA, right? Where all these young kids are coming out and they're just trying to be like him. They got to make the goofy throws, left-handed, no look, right? I mean,
It's a good
I,
point.
I
Okay.
so I don't want to take a quarterback just because we feel like we have to take a quarterback. I mean, just look at the Jets and the 49ers, right? We talked about this. When we drafted Mac Jones, they drafted Trey Lance, they drafted Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence was taken, right? How are those first three guys before the Lawrence? I'm sorry, Wilson, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones doing, right? Is that what you want?
Mm.
So drafting a quarterback just because you have to, when you have the opportunity to take a generational talent, I think if the Bears stay at the number one pick, they would be silly to not take Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, Drake May, and of course, this segment, we're trying to highlight Drake May, but overall, it's tough because at pick number 9, it's a different ball game. But pick number 2 for this guy, I'm having a really hard time watching the highlights. Like I mentioned, he hasn't really performed against, tough talent. And it's kind of scary to me. So I'm telling you, if we go to bed on draft night with Marvin Harrison Jr. in a Patriots jersey, everyone's happy. And you mentioned how he's going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Do you think that's a bad thing? Because do you think this is the same thing you should apply to Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown's the highest paid player in the year. Is that a good thing? Would you rather him be, Ben Simmons, right? Where he fizzles out and he doesn't even deserve that. He doesn't even get to that contract. It's like, no, you got to experience him at a high level. So now you're paying him at a high level. All right. That's a first world problem, right? I would love to pick Marvin Harrison Jones. And if he becomes the highest paid wide receiver in the league, we picked the right guy, and that's just settled. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. I want a quarterback too. And I think any thoughts on that, Dad, before I tell people my true master plan here?
Yeah. I want to apologize to the viewers for my son gaslighting all of them. I didn't do the
I'm
exact
making
same thing
sense,
you
but
did.
go
I
ahead.
just told you the two things he needs to get rid of. He just needs to get rid of the stupidness.
Oh
Don't
wow,
be an idiot. Otherwise, he's a complete quarterback. Everything else he shows, that's
he's
why
stupid.
he's a consensus top 5 pick.
Yeah,
He has the arm, he has the ability, he can run, he's got good instincts. He can lead throws. He can throw into tight windows. He doesn't get those opportunities often because, his wide receivers are wide open like every other college quarterback.
yeah,
But when he does, he has them. He just got to get rid of don't be a moron. I mean, otherwise, if he can get that
Yeah.
out of his hand, the rest of the everything else you need is there for a
Yeah.
franchise quarterback. So that is, I didn't do the exact same thing you did. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
actually
okay. Listen.
said
It
good
was
things about
close.
my guy.
And okay, now all I gotta say for this, right? The perfect thing,
Yep.
everyone's heard it. You can't fix stupid. So there you go, Dad. Good luck fixing stupid because look at Josh Allen and look at the Bills. You talked about him as being something special. That guy has underperformed and been a huge disappointment this season. And I don't know if there's anywhere any trajectory going up. He still makes dumb decisions. He's still an idiot. If that guy, if Maye turns out to be Josh Allen, I think we're almost screwed because Josh Allen
I
is
feel like
broke.
he is Josh Allen 2.0.
He's literally broken up here. Josh Allen is broken up here from taking too many big hits. So everybody, now
Josh
don't get
Allen's pretty good.
don't
He's
get
having
me
a bad
wrong.
year, but he's pretty good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
don't get me wrong here. I want to take a quarterback. We need a quarterback, right? I've just been hurt before. Okay, you don't. I grew up with Tom Brady. There's nobody that could do it like him. I'm a widow. My husband's passed. Tom Brady is, replacing him is obviously going to be very hard. I tried once. I tried twice. I was super excited for Cam Newton. Cam Newton those first two games didn't, of course, against Seattle. Remember that? Everyone's like, I can't believe you let Bill
Yeah,
get
that was
Cam.
awesome.
Man, we were like, here we go again, right? And then Mac Jones.
MVP Cam is back.
Yeah,
MVP Cam. Yep.
yep. And then Mac Jones. I just I want safety. I want a sure thing, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is the sure thing in this NFL draft. I would love to get him and then maybe find a quarterback next year. The quarterback talent is just not great. But here's what I would love more than anything. There's a guy, I don't know why he's not mocked higher. His name is I think it's Jalen Daniels. Um, why am
Well,
I
we said we're going
blank?
to talk about him next week. Hey,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
don't be
No,
distracting the viewers.
no. But you
Yeah.
know, and we will talk about him next week. But I'm super high on him. I would love to try and get him somehow, some way. But that would need to be some trade draft magic. And um, I as we're kind of wrapping up this segment, I will say something else specifically. You're not going to hear us talk too much about Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix because here's a news flash for all you New England fans. I know you don't watch college football because college football is for loser states and we're winner states and we care about pros, right? But Michael Penix Jr. has torn both ACLs and he blew out his shoulder. He's had three different season-ending injuries in his 5-year college career. He's not going to make it in the NFL. He's definitely not going to make it behind our offensive line. Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been getting a lot of hype. He's playing on a stacked Oregon team in a cupcake division, a cupcake conference, right? He tried to cut it in Auburn. He couldn't cut it in Auburn. He had to hit the transfer pool, went to Oregon. He's only completed 17 passes, 20 plus yards down the field. He runs a heavy RPO and a one read system. So we're not going to touch on those guys. I really hope those guys I feel like are perennial backup QBs. I don't think that's going to be it. You can come back and check this when they make the Hall of Fame in 20 years, but I just don't see it, so we're not going to touch on it. Yeah, I mean Drake May, if we get him, I'm not going to cry, but I will be nervous. All right, Dad. I have a question. If
Hey,
we pick him, are you going to be nervous? Yes or no?
of course, no matter who we get, even if we get Caleb Williams, I'm going to be nervous.
Oh,
But
same.
hey, if you vote for my son,
Yeah.
enjoy all of the replays where Marvin Harrison Jr. is wide open downfield, but
Yep.
his quarterback got killed or sacked or
Yep.
threw a terrible ball or threw it to someone else because you need the quarterback first. I'm
That's what I'm
sorry.
hoping.
And if you draft that kid, you're wasting the first 3 years of his career because you're going to have some bum veteran quarterback in next year who's not going to do anything. The team's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
but you're going to use next year's draft to get a quarterback because
Yep.
again, you're going to be at the bottom of the league. Okay, great. It's his rookie year though. How good is he going to be in his
All
rookie
right.
year in the
All right.
NFL?
Yeah.
And then the sophomore slump when the league has the book on. So
Okay.
enjoy wasting Marvin Harrison Jr.'s first 3 years. He's probably going to demand a trade at some point.
No.
I mean, that's just got disaster written all over it. Clearly, the old bull has won. That is a knockout in the first
Yeah.
round. Thank you.
No, and also Marvin Harrison Jr. has a very high character. If you've listened to any of his interviews, he's a super high character kid. So yeah, I will see everybody. I want a quarterback too. I just don't know if these two guys are at the top of the draft. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to segment number 2. And that's like my dad mentioned, in his introduction, the Boston Celtics, right? We had a really weird time with the in-season tournament. Of course, we had 2 games since the last podcast. One of them was against Orlando, and my dad and I were both super nervous about that. Orlando, kicks our butt every time, but we thought it'll be different. We have a different team here. The problem is that Drew Holiday didn't play, and Porzingis got hurt because of the in-season tournament courts. He got hurt because of those courts. You cannot tell me otherwise. Again, the courts are slippery. The players don't like them. I think we could do without him, use a different ball or something. Porzingis strained his calf, and then after that, we pretty much fell apart and lost by almost, I don't know, like 15 or 20. So since then, we beat the Hawks relatively handily. I was very happy with that, again, without Porzingis. And then we also beat the who am I blanking on the other team we beat? Oh, we beat them big too. Who we beat that?
We just beat the Bulls.
The
We
Bulls,
just killed the
right?
Bulls.
So,
Yeah.
all right, the Oval's is somewhat controversial here, but the in-season tournament did make this game a little bit more interesting to me, and it was stressful. Number one, and I'll leave that. Actually, I won't even share because I know the Old Bull's going to touch on it. It was interesting to watch the scores, add them up, and everything like that. It would be great to have a bit more clarity. I don't think they put out enough resources to explain how everything was going. But, watching the Nets Raptors game, it got me into that game, got me paying attention to it. So I can see what the NBA is trying to do here. I heard the players were cheering about it at the end, in the locker room when they found out they advanced. So I don't know. I could live with the in-season tournament, live without it. But while it's going on, I'm going to pay attention to it. So it's not horrible. But my dad, take it away. What thoughts do you have on the Celtics this week in-season tournament? What I just said, anything?
Get your popcorn out because the salty old man, you sprinkle some of that on it, is coming out right now.
Yeah.
So, as I've stated, I have a 20-minute commute home, and I'll listen to Felger and Maz. And I look at their show and they break it down by hour. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's all Celtics. That's never the case. I'm like, that's weird. I know the Patriots are terrible if they just do nothing but talk about how much the Patriots suck. So I'm like, let me listen to it. Sure enough, it dominated Celtics because they loved the in-season tournament. They loved that they had to run up the score on a team. They loved that the starters were in the game with a 30-point lead at the end of the fourth quarter because there was like drama between the coaches and all that crap. And they flat out admitted, yeah, well, not good for the team, but good for my entertainment. I was tuned in. I loved it. And the only one that pushed back was Jimmy Stewart, the guy, the producer. And he was like adamant against it. And again, like, what the hell are we doing here? I thought we cared about real championships. Okay. If you care about a real championship, if you care about getting banner 18 and moving back to the lead ahead of the Lakers, you want nothing to do with this garbage. Okay. It's worthless. It's stupid. You got guys slipping on the court. Now the Celtics have to travel more. They've already had an awful schedule where for some reason they keep playing a home game, then they go on the road, they go back home, go on the road. They're never at home for a while, they're never on the road for a while. And now they have to possibly travel to Indiana. If they win that game, they got to travel to Vegas and they get back on this back and forth. And it's just terrible. And because they're in this tournament, they play two tough teams. They play Indiana and the winner, probably the Bucks, and then the champion if they win that, whoever comes out of the West. Whereas teams like Philly, who missed the tournament, they get to play the Hawks in like Detroit now. Fantastic. Like that, they get to just rest and feed on those two
Yep.
teams. I don't care about this stupid garbage. I care about getting to the playoffs healthy and getting there rested.
Yep.
I want them rested so they sweep teams in the playoffs. Maybe win a gentleman's sweep at the worst. I care about that. Who cares about if you're entertained on a Tuesday night in freaking November? And they loved it. They talked about it for 4
Yep.
hours because of that. It just shows
I
they're clueless.
I
But
got
go
some
ahead.
bad news for you, Dad. There's a chance that banner 18 might be an in-season tournament banner. And I don't know if you know, but there's almost no way the NBA is gonna not have them put up a banner. It's gonna, well, whoever wins this thing is gonna put up a banner. They might win that, and it might go in the rafters. And by all accounts, right? It's a money league, right? That's why they play. It's doing well enough where this thing might be here to stay. So the players seem to start caring about it. They've gotten a lot of good press on it. They've done a really good job PR wise. The one thing I don't like is people are getting bitter and they're getting chippy, they're getting dirty. I thought you were going to bring this up, but you didn't touch on it. That guy diving headfirst into Jaylen Brown's legs. We almost blew our
Absolutely.
we
Like
almost
2 minutes left.
our entire championship window was almost thrown out the like just thrown in the garbage. Like if
I
Jaylen
texted
Brown,
you.
yeah,
I texted you.
yeah.
Yeah.
If
And you're
Jaylen
like,
Brown,
our
yeah,
window was almost gone there.
yep, yep, and I watched it. My life flash before my eyes. If Jaylen Brown tears his ACL there, I don't know if we're gonna win a championship with this roster. So it is scary, and these courts make it even scarier. Um, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. I sadly, I don't think it's going anywhere. But if it's staying, I would like to be the first team to ever win it. Hopefully it hones our team. Some adversity. I do hope it doesn't rush Porzingis back because calf strains turn into Achilles tears. Everybody. So I hope I don't see Porzingis back because of the in-season tournament. But we'll see about that. Yeah. So yeah, big week for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, big week. We
Yeah.
have Philly tomorrow. Hopefully the podcast will be edited out by then. And then we have the in-season tournament against the scorching hot Pacers, and they lost tonight against the Heat, but they gave up 142 points. They don't play defense, but they do a lot of offense. Any final thoughts on the Celtics, Dad?
Score. Well, no, I mean, the Porzingis injury, right? I
Oh, true.
mean,
Yeah.
they better not force him back because of that. I'm really hoping this is absolutely nothing, and this is something that rests. If this is lingering all year, that's going to be a disaster. I actually hope that all of the Celtics get some type of minor non-lingering
No,
injury
don't say
that
that.
just
Don't
puts them
say that.
out.
Oh
I,
no,
I know, I know. I don't want to play with
that's so
fire. I'm going to
dumb.
knock on
That's
some wood.
so dumb.
I'm talking about just puts them on the shelf for 2 or 3 weeks, keeps them rested. Nothing that's like can linger. Nothing that's season
I don't think you
threatening.
know how
Anything
injuries
like that.
work.
I listen. I know what went down the last 2 years in the playoffs. Our team, everyone points to all these reasons why they lost, and they're all legit. But really, to me, the number one reason is it feels like they always run out of gas. They don't look like the same team at the end of the playoff run as they do at the end of the regular season when they're humming, or even because they get into these 6 or 7 game series, and they're exhausted by the time they get to the end. And I am all about my starting five, hopefully getting to the end, only playing 60 games each, somewhere around 60 to
Yep.
70 games, minutes low. And so they're fresh. And whoever that first round opponent is, sweep. Second round opponent, 5 games. Now you're in the conference finals and the finals, fully rested, played
Yep.
everybody, all the key guys, 43 minutes out of the 48. That to me is the key. They're all healthy. They're all rested. That is my goal.
Yep. Listen, anybody who agreed with the old bull in the first segment, just know you just agreed with a guy who is wishing for injuries on the Celtics. So just
Fucking very minor
I might have
ones.
to edit that. I might have to edit that out just save face, but I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it in.
What you do?
That might go in the Hall of Fame. This year when we do like a recap, I got to remember this episode 15 Hall of Fame worst take of the season.
Minor, non-lingering injuries. That's what I said.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
totally, 100%. So yeah,
you
let's
could play, but you sit out. Yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna move on to the hockey segment. Oh man, like my dad said, it was a rough week in Bruins, Bruins world. They lost 3 games in a row. 2 games that they 100% should have won. They should have beat these teams. Then one game that we would have understood if they lost. Overall, Dad, do you want to say anything, or do you want me to give you praise? What do you want to do?
I mean, it's not Valentine's Day. It's
Yeah,
it's not my birthday, but I don't know, I feel empty like I should have flowers or something.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like where are my beautiful flowers? Because let me tell you something, the old bull has been on to this for like the last, I believe it was 2 episodes. I've been telling you on this podcast that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on right now. That goals against was two hot goalies at once, and I gave you the numbers of why our defense was below average, like slightly below average, and sure enough, it came to roost. Now all of a sudden, the goalies cool off, and our defense is exposed, and we're giving up like freaking 5.5 goals a game for 3 straight games in a row. They couldn't. It was unrealistic to expect our goalies to perform like that for the entire year. And it just, I mean, and then the scoring was down too. Here's Patra hanging out on the fourth line with Heinen. I guess he got a little bit of a bump tonight with Marchand moved to his line,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there's
yeah.
Heinen, on the other wing. I feel about Heinen, him and Carlo.
Listen,
Wrap those two up in a ball, send them to the moon, and then nuke the moon. Those two
listen,
losers.
listen. Focus,
So
focus on
yeah,
being right. Focus on being right for a second, okay?
yes,
He
right.
has been saying it. We talked about scoring chances. We've been giving up a lot, and
Rebounds,
yep. And our goalies have been
blocking block shots, all that.
staying
Yeah,
on their head. And I think they gave up 40 shots in the Red Wings, 40 shots in the Blue Jackets, and then they didn't actually give up too many shots in the other game, but Swayman gave up 4 goals in the. Oh no, actually, other way around. Red Wings they only gave up 27 shots, and Swayman gave up 4 goals. Now, I think this kind of flies in the face of our comments earlier in the season about possibly trading one of these goalies. It's almost as if we proven the point that we need these guys. I don't know how close to the deadline we can get before we'd want to look into trading these guys, but I don't know what kind of team we are if we can't play the hot hand. I know my buddy Tim has really been vehemently against getting rid of Olmark or Swayman. I know we've teased that a bit, but these past 3 games might show us that we need these guys because our defense just isn't there. It's not we're not getting in the way of these shots. I was watching even today's game. We shut them out 3-0 and only 2 forwards had blocked shots and this was by the end of the second period. And I think one of them was
yeah.
Patra and one of them was Marchand. I mean, I don't feel like that's Bruins hockey. 2 block shots by our forwards in the first, 2 periods. Yeah, actually for the whole game, we only had 2 block shots by those forwards. So I don't know. I really am.
Matt, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
you and your friend, I hate to break it to you, but the rest of this roster is not good enough to win a cup. You have to get another piece in here, and you have to use those. It's the equivalent. I've said this before. It's the equivalent to having Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on the same football team. What the hell good is that? You
yeah,
can't play two quarterbacks at once. There's not two footballs on the field. You're going to have one on the bench wasting away. Both would be major pieces to bring in an impact player. You got two major pieces. You have to roll the dice that you pick the right one. You get max return and upgrade that roster because I'm telling you that roster,
yeah,
it's close. It's not. It's showing that it's just if it has a little more, it can be a cup contender. It's not a cup contender right now. I feel like it would fall a little short. It's close. It needs another piece.
yeah,
And they don't have any draft picks left after last year. They
yeah,
got no other way to get anybody in here. So I'm sorry. Everyone's going to give up on their little goalie tandem binkies and get rid of one of them. I'm about a cup. I listen,
yeah. Listen, I'm sure they're about a cup too, though.
cracking around exit. It's almost a
Listen,
victory after last year and pieces we lost, but give me everything you can to get a cup. And that means not having Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes on the same damn team at once. Sorry.
all right, Tim, you heard it here first from the old bull. Shoot me your insight here. Now, every week when we get to the Bruin segments, I got two friends, that are just ripping on the old bull, right? Just being very very, pooping on his takes. That's Tim and Andrew. And specifically, Danton Heinen. My dad started to allude to this as he was getting his praise, right? Because he needed to get his cheap shot in on Heinen because you can't go any, Bruin sentence without bringing up Heinen. Now, of course, I mess with my buddy Andrew on Heinen a lot. He thinks Heinen is very underrated. So, uh, I will give him credit. So we spoke after their last loss to the Jackets, and he said that he would like the lines to get moved around. And particularly, he mentioned Patra and Marchand, right? I told him I loved it as long as it got Patra on the ice more. It did suck tonight because Patra, even though he was on the line with Marchand, he only got 15 seconds of shorthanded time, whereas Marchand got like 6 minutes or something crazy like that. So it was disappointing that Patra didn't get on that line. But what my buddy Andrew says when it comes to Heinen, everything he's missing, Patra and Marchand take care of. Puck handling, speed. It's a great pairing, shoring up each other's weaknesses. He's a perfect forward three for them. Heinen is a Swiss Army knife that can enable them. He has a decent shot, good forecheck, and can pass well. So, of course, I sent him a meme about, Andrew thinks Heinen should be a Hart contender. He said, not that much, relax. But he feels like the Heinen Marchand Patra line is a good mix and it gels well. And it's tough, right? Because this is kind of a throwaway game. The Sharks are historically bad. They performed well. We'll see if Montgomery keeps these lines. How do you what do you think of the lines, Dad? So there's that line, right? Then there's uh, Pasta, Zaka, and DeBrusque, and they scored as well. And then JVR, Coyle, and Freddie. And then, of course, Geeky, Beecher, and Lauko. Any thoughts on those lines, Dad, off the top of your head?
I, I want to focus on two scoring lines, and and you have a decent third scoring line with the Coyle Frederick combination, and the Geeky kid's not bad. If you throw him on there, they don't have enough scoring to try to get cute and make three or four scoring lines. They just don't.
Yeah,
And your friend, I don't want to, say he's wrong, but it just kind of doesn't work that way in hockey. You need all three forwards to be good and in sync to create a scoring line. It's why they were so hesitant to break up the perfection line for so long. They had no second scoring line, and it's like that's why everybody was saying, okay, great. Pasta, Bergeron, and Martian are amazing together, but they had nothing else after it. And the problem was you get to the playoffs and the other team would just focus the best defensive players, best defensive center on that line, shut them down, you're done. That's why everybody was saying you have to split them up and then get your best possible next players to form the two lines. You have to you can't just throw
yep,
a bum with Marchand and Bergeron, even back when they're in their prime. You can't just throw a bum on that other wing. They're going to be just way less. You got to throw
yeah,
someone. Okay, it's not going to be Pasta, but he's got to be good. He
yeah,
has to be a good scoring to be in rhythm with them. I want to see the top. We have exactly six good forwards, offensive forwards. I want those six together all the time.
yep,
Period. I don't want to get cute with mixing this and that and that,
yeah.
and it's
I
just
mean,
it's just frustrating. It's yeah.
my buddy Andrew did share that, after he told me the lines, he said it's almost as if we have 3 second lines, and he's kind of right. Like we don't have that kind of standout line. And yeah, it is a bit scary. I would love to see Patra out there on that first or second line. I really just want him to get ice time. Whatever line can get him some ice time, I'm happy with. Not seeing him on the power play is really disappointing. Um, I guess we'll see how this all shakes out. And we'll see if Patra gets some more ice time with Marchand out there. I don't know what their week coming up looks like, but next game is against the Maple Leafs in 2 days on Saturday. Big game. We're going into Toronto, so hopefully we can get a W there. Any final Bruins thoughts, Dad?
No, that's it. Let's get on to the betting segment and Frank the Tank.
All right, so segment number 4, and Anthony's trimming it back this week. He's doing one lock for you. He won his lock last week, had a little bit of trouble with the little extra stuff, but we only advise the locks here on the old bull and young calf. He gets a little hyped up, and we let him do his thing. We let him freelance because he's the expert. But yeah, give us your lock, Anthony.
Hey, what's up, everyone? WilgsBasementBets here. 1-1 last week. Won the lock. Lost the extra play. This week, coming back with just one lock. It's going to be 49ers minus 2.5 at the Eagles. I think 49ers really going to end the season strong. Eagles kind of been up for a little while now, need to come down. So I think the 49ers are going to come out here and really get the work done. So just one play this week. Let's get that win, and let's make some money.
Thanks, Anthony. Listen, everybody. I think there's a lot of mad Philadelphians, or whatever the heck you want to call those dirty, vulgar people, when they watch this podcast, 'cause I'm sure they all do, when they find out that Anthony picked that game. Holy smokes, that takes some balls.
Matt, Anthony, you better win that bet and not get in my face, because I will drop that motherfucker.
Robert better not get in my face, because I'll drop that motherfucker.
Jesus, Brennan.
You better not.
Yeah, Anthony, watch out, man. I think that, my dad's speaking for everybody from Philadelphia on behalf of that. So yeah.
You might need that bleep button, Matt.
I don't. I
Just
got it
heads
taken
up.
care of. I always got it taken care of. It's a PG podcast.
PG,
You could
yes.
air this thing on Nick Jr. That's how I'm telling you. All right. So
By the time Matt's done, absolutely, yes.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So we're gonna move on to segment number 5. So, Frank the Tank Commander. We're gonna do this every week, everybody. This is it's like the Super Bowl. Every week is our Super Bowl here in New England. It's honestly, this is what we've been missing all these years of success and deep playoff runs and
Yeah.
Super Bowls. We've missed the thrill of hoping you lose every single week. I mean, Browns fans really have it all. Am
Yeah.
I right, Dad?
It's like sad loser playoffs. Like we get, because it's not just every week is like a playoff game for the Patriots, hoping they lose, rooting against them.
Rooting
But
against
you
other
actually
teams.
have to watch other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's the playoffs. Like, oh, who we playing next round? Or like, who's coming out of the NFC? So like, it's like poor man versions of loser playoffs, and that's what we are, unfortunately, thanks to senile old man who just hung on too long and just could not change his ways, his
Listen,
way or
Doug,
the highway. So anyway,
Okay, so here we are. Frank the Tank Commander has the battle plans laid out in front of us, everybody. So get in the bunker. And what are the big hitter games this week, Dad? Everyone should be watching.
well, I have some bad news this week. Okay, there was a lot of optimism last week. Potential losses. We did get one. The Bears ended up winning. That was a big one. That
Yep.
was good. The biggest one of all, the Patriots somehow lost to that absolute trash bag.
They're so
dumpster
bad.
dumpster juice Giants. Thank you. Good job. You did your job.
Matt
as,
Ryland, or whatever his name is, Chad
Yeah.
Ryland.
Someone all you saw always try to preach, do your job. Patriots did their jobs last week. So, but this week, not so good. The only other two games that we're going to be watching really, Carolina Panthers at the Bucks. The only thing we have going for us is that new surge coach that I like to talk about. Panthers fired their coach. They got a new one coming in. Hopefully, all those guys rally around that guy and play the game of their lives and somehow pull off a win against the Bucks at home. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, that's our wishful thinking there. So root against the
One thing about
Panthers,
that game is
you go with the Bucks.
Baker Mayfield might be out for that game. He's
That would be
injured.
nice. That would help.
So that's a
Absolutely.
sleeper, everybody. Definitely keep your eye on that. What's the other
Okay.
one, Dad? What's the other one?
The other one is the Cardinals. Kyler Murray has just not looked what I thought he would coming back. That's kind of been disappointing. I almost like dismissed the Cardinals when Kyler Murray came back. I'm like, he's good. They're gonna probably win, a few games with him back. But I don't know. He doesn't look like he's ready. They're going to Pittsburgh, who's still fighting for a playoff spot. So not a lot of hope there. But hey, stranger things have happened. Hopefully the Cardinals pull out a win there. And then we have the big game of the week, obviously. I do not like this game one bit. Patriots, Chargers, it's at New England. Bill Belichick has absolutely made Justin Herbert he owns them. Justin Herbert plays awful against Patriots defenses. It is at New England. And here's another thing. I'm always worrying about the new coach surge. It's one of the pros and cons from last week. that I went over about keeping Belichick for the full year, not having that new coach surge if Mayo jumps in, that can hold true also for quarterbacks. Max out, does the team rally around Zappy?
Yep.
Do they play harder for Zappy? And do we squeak out a absolutely disastrous win against the Chargers? So we got to watch out for all of that stuff. Get your anti-Patriots pom-poms on, everything we can to root for them to come home with a big L. But this game makes me really nervous. What about you, Matt?
No, totally agree. We own Justin Herbert. Staley is completely incompetent, and
Mhm.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I know all eyes are going to be on this. I think the Chargers do respect us. Bosa, I think, is out, so they lost their best,
Yep.
best edge rusher. He would have, ran us ragged. So end of the season, a lot of these teams with these four wins, they're dealing with stuff. So they might be as bad as us. So because I know we were dealt our biggest injuries in week 3 or 4 against the Cowboys. So this is kind of catching up to these teams. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are the big hits. I think last week I talked about strength of schedule and how it's important that the people the Patriots face lose because we want their strength of schedule to look poor. So right off the bat,
Good point.
Cowboys. We want the Cowboys to lose. I don't know what the score is on this game, so Cowboys losing is good for us. Of course, here we are. Lions Saints. We want the Saints to lose here, everybody. So Saints loss is good. Jets. We want the Jets to lose. Of course, the Cardinals take precedent here. The Colts. We want the Colts to lose. So root against those Colts, everybody. Making a big tank over here. Dolphins, Commanders. It's kind of a wash here because we play both of those teams. The Broncos, they're scorching hot. Sean Payton's got it. We do end up facing them this year though, so we want that strength of schedule to dip. So hopefully CJ Stroud pulls it out against them. The Browns and Rams, I don't think we face either of those teams, so that doesn't matter.
We don't.
The 49ers and Eagles, it's important that the Eagles lose. They're screwing up our strength of schedule. We played them. They're 10-1. We need them to lose a couple games. And then the Chiefs.
Anthony's bet.
Yep.
We need Anthony's bet to come through. Yeah.
Yeah, we need Wilgs Basement Bets to be right for many reasons here. And then the Chiefs. We need the Chiefs to lose. And then for the Bengals Jaguars, this game does not matter. So that is the Tank Commander. We are now dishonorably discharged because I feel dirty every time we do this. We'll be back next week though to give a rundown then, hopefully with a 2-10 Patriots team. Yeah, I mean, this is not how I expected the podcast to go when we first started this. There was a few times when I was doing the intro where I kept saying Old Bull Young Calf Patriots podcast, and my dad kept correcting me. But I'll tell you this, that's not going to happen almost ever again because talking about the Patriots hurts on this podcast. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. And I do have more bad news. Unfortunately, we did not get a video from everybody's favorite special guest, Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny.
So
yeah.
Matt's safe this week. You're okay. All right. You're not going to get bullied. All right.
Yeah.
We don't want you getting triggered, picked on by a little teenage boy,
It's all right.
All he wants to do is, just go for a ride and pick up some hookers. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. So I'm glad Vinny's obviously distracted whatever else he's doing to not tear me down here. Yeah, we'll hopefully everybody enjoyed it. There's going to be plenty more to talk about in season tournament by the time this next podcast comes out next week. Maybe the old bull will have changed his tune and fallen in love, and he's going to buy a ticket to the parade, and fly back up here and enjoy the in-season tournament victory. We'll see.
Salt.
We'll
Salt
see, everybody.
Yeah.
Go Celtics tomorrow against the 76ers. Fix yourself, Bruins, and I hope you lose, Patriots. Any final thoughts, Dad?
That is it. The old bull needs to go to bed.
All right. Good night, everybody. Goodbye.